Hey Tara, how are you?
I am so great, Don. Thanks for having me on.
It's always fabulous to be in your presence, whether it's in person or through the airwaves. Right now, you are in Spain. What are you doing in Spain?
I am happily taking a break from my own career to be band wife to my
Oh,
husband, John, as he plays shows with the band, The Music of Big Star, which is one
oh,
of my favorites. Yeah. So it's been a fantastic tour, and we're ending now in Valencia. I'm about to come back to Canada. So this is perfect
um,
timing.
amazing. And when you come back to Canada, are you like, do you hit the ground running? Do you have got shows? What's happening?
Yeah, actually, I have a really fun show pretty much right when we land at the Royal Ontario Museum,
Wow.
playing their After Dark situation.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so it stays open late, and there's a rock band, and there's probably dinosaur bones, and then after that, we do our tour of Ontario starting November 30th, and we finish December 16th in Hamilton.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
Where are you playing
yeah.
in Hamilton?
Bridgeworks, which is I've never actually played there to people because it opened in the pandemic,
Right. Oh, geez.
and
Yeah.
so I did one of those, or I've done multiple live streams from Bridgeworks. Many, too many, some might say. Now that we're out of live streaming territory.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So let's talk about your brand new album, Healing Power. It is like, I don't even know how to describe it. Listening to it, it's like it's got all the best Terra Lightfoot stuff, but it packs a punch. What was kind of one of the sparks that got this album rolling?
Yeah, I mean, for me, part of it was as a songwriter feeling finally ready to stretch my legs a little bit
Hmm.
and to go back to the producer that I'd used for two records, Gus Van Gogh. And the last record that I made, I thought, oh, okay, I'm gonna try something different. And then this time I was like, you know what? It's okay to just do what I like to do and to go with somebody that I know and make something that I'm scared of, like some of
Mm.
these tones, like Cross Border Lovers is like an 80s song.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And Gus like put me through a jazz chorus amp, which I never would have said yes to, but
Yeah.
it just felt right, and that's okay. It's kind of just about feeling comfortable doing things that you're not sure about. That's part of
Mm.
it, you know?
Yeah. And what are some of the lessons that you've learned from going through that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I actually did a bunch of recording before we started sessions with Gus, and I think I learned that it doesn't have to be so difficult.
Hmm.
I think as a creative person, I tend to make it really hard for myself. A lot of the time, I'm like, is this a good lyric? Is this a good song? And I think this album has shown me some great freedom to the point that I am so happy with it that I feel ready to actually continue writing songs. Every other record I've ever made, I've had to take a 3 year break because it's so
Yeah.
taxing.
Yeah.
And this one was like, oh no, this was great. And you know what? I don't have to fight the process anymore, you
Hmm.
know? And I think a
Hmm.
lot of us are feeling that way too. People are feeling less self-conscious and more like people are focusing more on actually paying attention to themselves, healing themselves, doing things that they love and making it easy rather than
Hmm.
going through all this hard stuff.
You mentioned like that you love the outdoors and you kind of live out in the country. How has the landscape influenced your songwriting or even in this album? What's happening?
Yeah. I mean, so the place that we live now is kind of in the woods, a few hours north of Toronto, and that is where I wrote this entire record. Prior to that, I was always living in a city, mostly in Hamilton, and that influences your writing too, right? Like place, like wherever
Hmm.
you are. But for me, because there was really nothing around us but nature, it was like, okay, what are we thinking about? What are we writing about? And it ends up conjuring up images that you never would think of when you're looking at something that's so busy, like a city. Something's always going on. But in the silence of the woods, it's like, no, what, you can dig some stuff up that you couldn't find before,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. So when you're writing your writing process, like, are you someone that starts with chords first? Do you write away from your instrument? What happens? How do we get your all your amazing songs? How do they come out?
Well, I think for me, often it'll be like a little riff or just a phrase, like just one line.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'll kind of work on it for a bit. And I've discovered through my many years of songwriting that part of the thing, if I'm working on something and it's not going anywhere, I need a little bit of movement. So whether that's walking or driving
Mm.
is one of my favorite places to write.
Yeah.
Just throw on your iPhone
Voice
voice
memos.
recorder and
Yeah.
let her go. Um, but so movement, I realize if I'm moving around that I can't think too much. Um,
Yeah.
Sitting at a desk and going, oh, what's the next line? I just find it a lot easier when I'm moving. So that's a way that I've learned to spin things out a little more. And I'll write on piano or guitar. And in the studio, I mean, this record, Gus and I were often alone, just the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd start the day and I'd show him the song. And then he'd go, okay, well, I think it needs drums. And we'd call Glenn Milcham and he would come over with his little wagon. He has a drum wagon and he would walk
Amazing.
from his house.
That's the
Um,
way to do it.
Sometimes we also use David Mata, who was normally the studio assistant, but he also played drums. So if Glenn was away, it'd be like, well, David, can you lay something down? And the stuff that he did was so great. It was like, well, we'll just leave that in. Like it's
Yeah.
fantastic young drummer
Yeah.
from Toronto. So that's
Yeah.
nice. But there's a relaxed nature to this process, you can tell.
It's nice. It's kind of nice. It's like there's like some sort of routine or idyllic, romantic, regularness. Like, like just with like showing up and like chipping away and working at it. Whereas sometimes I feel like when we create it, it can be a big frenzy and it does seem a little bit hard sometimes. But that sounds quite lovely. You just show up and you're like, okay, we're going to work a little bit today and whatever happens is going to be great. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
The other thing I'll say that is that we took big breaks. So we would maybe record 1 or 2 days and then take a break and do 2 days the next month and just keep
Mm-hmm.
going and chipping away. And I
Yeah.
loved doing it that way because it was so low pressure,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
That's
know?
beautiful. That's beautiful. When people are listening to your album, what are you hoping some of the like snapshots or feelings that they take away from it?
So the main one is actually the cover of the record. There's this tree that I visited in Austria on the top of a mountain. I hiked all the way up there. I was feeling perhaps not the way that one should when they're hiking on top of a beautiful mountain in Austria. I was a little
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
you know? And I think like we all are like now and always will always experience those feelings of yeah, just feeling like everything's falling down around you, even
Yeah.
when you're on top of a beautiful sunny mountain. And I went up there and I sat under that tree for the whole day
Hmm.
and kind of just communed with myself a little bit. And after that, it's been sort of a 5 year, that was 5 years ago. It's been sort of this cycle of figuring out how to heal myself and how to make myself feel better and how to contribute. And, like, I feel like so many of us go through those experiences and we don't know the way out. And I kind of found my way out. And so that's what I'm hoping to share with other
Oh,
people.
gonna make me cry. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. And like kudos to you for being committed to yourself and like, really trying to figure it out because some people give up, because it's hard. And I mean, the beautiful thing is that we also get to reap the benefits of your hard work and your love and commitment. It's really special. Terra Lightfoot, I could literally talk to you forever. Just want to hang out with you, but we'll make that happen some other time. Before you go, I'd love to play a new song from your album. Is there one in particular that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Firstly, I would prefer to hear you sing, but I'm willing to accept.
Come on,
Like
man.
with I guess if you were going to play one, since it's CKUA and it's just about music, I think
Yeah.
the one that I'd like to play is Out of Time.
Okay.
Um, that's the end track to the record, and it's sort of the thesis statement where we
Mm,
talk about the tree. So
I love it. I'm so happy. Terra Lightfoot, you are a delight and just the raddest person I know. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. And I also want to tell you that your album Healing Power is number 2 on our top 30 chart this week, which is pretty awesome.
Wow. Thank you for
Yeah,
telling me that. I'm so
you're welcome. You're
excited.
welcome. You're welcome. From the album Healing Power, this is Terra Lightfoot and Out of Time.